It's the ultimate fantasy, isn't it? Holding that one little ticket worth hundreds of millions, maybe even $1 billion. Your life is officially changed. But the reality is, for a ton of winners, that dream very quickly turns into a total nightmare. So let's get into it. We're going to break down what the experts say you absolutely have to do and not do after hitting the jackpot.
This quote from Matt Pitcher, who used to advise lottery winners, just nails it. A lottery win isn't just a money thing, it's a massive psychological shock. Think about it. Someone who builds a business and sells it has had years to prepare for being wealthy. A lottery winner? You're basically thrown into the deep end of the financial ocean with no warning and no life vest. The results of that experiment can be, well, pretty catastrophic.
And if you need proof, just look at this number. This is what we're talking about. According to research from the National Bureau of Economic Research, about 65% of all that windfall money is just gone within a couple of years. Poof! Spent, given away, totally mismanaged. That is the statistic we are trying to avoid right here.
Right, so let's be clear, this isn't really a math problem. The biggest hurdles that winners face are almost always about psychology and relationships. It's about trying to manage your own emotions and suddenly the expectations and emotions of every single person you've ever met.
Just try to imagine it for a second. That moment it dawns on you that you've won. A lottery lawyer, Kurt Panusis, he talks about this. Winners just pacing their homes, can't sleep, totally riddled with anxiety. Your family relationships, they change in an instant. Your friendships, they get weird. Your whole world just gets flipped upside down. And the biggest pressure of all, that little voice in your head screaming, go claim that ticket right now.
So, what is the single most important thing you can do first? The one piece of advice every single expert agrees on? Well, it's probably the last thing you'd ever think to do. You have to just pause. This isn't about being lazy. Think of it as a strategic retreat. You're letting the hurricane pass over before you step outside.
And I mean that literally. Do nothing. Don't you dare quit your job in a blaze of glory. Don't go buy that mansion or that fleet of sports cars. Don't tell everyone you know. That impulse to act, to do something, is going to be overwhelming, but fighting it is the very first step to keeping your money and your sanity.
This cooling off period is your secret weapon. Let's walk through it. Month 1, your only job is to secure that ticket. Take a bunch of pictures of it, front and back, but do not sign it. Here's a pro tip from that lawyer, Kurt Panusis. If you sign it with your own name, you might lose the chance to claim the prize anonymously through a trust later on. So hold off. The next few months are just for letting the adrenaline wear off. And then, and only then, do you start building the team that will help you create a life plan before $1 of that money is in your hand.
All right, so once the initial shock has worn off, it's time to build your squad. Your stealth team, if you will. This isn't just about finding a random accountant. It's about putting together a team of fiduciaries. That's a key word here. Fiduciaries are professionals who are legally, and I mean legally, bound to act in your best interest. And the whole point is privacy, stealth.
So who's on this dream team? These are your 3 non-negotiables. First up, a certified financial planner, a CFP. This person is the architect of your financial future. Second, a CPA, who's going to be your tax guru and deal with the insane tax situation you're now in. And third, an estate planning attorney. They're the one who sets up the legal structures, like trusts, to protect this money for your kids and their kids. This is the core team.
And this right here just sums it all up. Panusis is so right. Look, anybody can walk into a lottery office and claim a ticket. That's easy. That's also how you go broke. The people who succeed, who actually stay wealthy, are the ones who show up with a bulletproof life plan already figured out by their team. Claiming the ticket should be the last thing you do, not the first.
So, your team is coming together, a plan is starting to form, and now you hit your first massive, irreversible fork in the road. This is the big one, and the choice you make right here is going to dictate your financial life for the next 30 years.
Because we need to talk about that number. The giant jackpot you see on the billboards, it's kind of a fantasy. The reality of how payouts and taxes work is a pretty brutal wake-up call, but it's one you need to have.
Okay, so let's break it down. You've got 2 main choices. On one side, there's the annuity. That's where you get guaranteed paychecks every year for 30 years. It's like built-in protection against blowing it all at once. On the other side, you've got the lump sum. You get a much smaller pile of cash right now, but it's all yours to control and invest for bigger returns. Now, most financial advisors will tell you if you have a great team and you're disciplined, the lump sum is the better choice, mathematically speaking. And this chart, woof,
This is where fantasy meets a very harsh reality. So you see that $500 million jackpot? Well, you choose the lump sum, and boom, it's immediately cut down to something like $225 million. Then, the IRS takes a huge chunk right off the top, and after you pay the rest of your federal and state taxes, which could be nearly 50%, you're left with around $130 million. Now, don't get me wrong, that's an incredible fortune, but you can see how fast that headline number just evaporates.
So, you did it. You survived the initial chaos. You claimed the money with a solid plan, and you've accepted the new, real numbers. Now what? Well, now the real work begins, managing this money and this new life for the next 50 or 60 years.
Here's a really simple but powerful tool that financial planners recommend. You divide your fortune into 3 buckets. First is your lifestyle bucket. This money is invested super safely to generate the income you'll live on. The rule is you never ever touch the original principal. Second is your growth bucket. This is where you take more risks, stocks, real estate, to grow your wealth over the long haul. And third is the legacy bucket. This is a set amount you earmark for gifts and charity. It puts a boundary on your generosity so you don't accidentally give it all away.
And in the end, we have to come back to the human element, because it is the hardest part. You will be flooded with requests for money from every person you have ever known. You have to learn how to say no and how to set firm boundaries, or you will go broke trying to be everyone's savior. You have to understand things like the federal gift tax. If you give someone a huge gift, the government can tax it at 40%. You'll also become a giant target for scammers. But you know, maybe the biggest challenge of all is finding a new reason to get out of bed in the morning. When you don't have to work, what do you live for? All the money in the world can't answer that question for you.
So what's the ultimate takeaway here? I think it's that sudden wealth is just an amplifier. It makes good habits great, and it makes bad habits absolutely catastrophic. It doesn't buy happiness, not really, but it does buy choices. And as we've seen, the single most important choice you can make is the very first one. The choice to pause, the choice to plan, and the choice to protect yourself. Not just from other people, but from your own worst impulses.